Good evening, Free Enterprise fans. Welcome to another match in the fourth round of the Blue Moon Waning bracket of Zemus Zone 5. I am Commander Leonhardt Harumph. The resident of Cave Magnus is our restreamer and has rolled this up. Zald is taking care of keeping the buttons lit up as our tracker, and I am joined on comms by Deathlike. Welcome.
Hello, yeah, I'm excited for this race. Palm start always warms my cockles or something. Like having the character that, for the most part, doesn't need too much help to get started. Fu probably gets you started, Edge gets you started, but Palom, of all the characters that usually do not get restricted, has gets kind of powerful pretty quickly and pretty early, and scales at least for the most part till you don't need to.
Yeah, he gets the very powerful Quake spell early on in his leveling up, which does make him a popular choice. We've got RagingLevine facing off against Mechalink. RagingLevine, one of the newer members of the community, just started picking up this randomizer about 4 months ago.
Yeah, and according to early pre-chat gaming talk, Mechalink is Raging Levine's mentor, so it's kind of nice. Mini Eraser has their own story of how they got into the randomizer, and who some of the mentors that helped them along the way. So it's nice to see two players they know each other because of that relationship to play against each other. And and it doesn't always happen, but it's always nice to see it happen once in a while.
Yep, the student facing off against the teacher. I'm expecting a good match. They should be much more familiar with each other's preferences and routing than two typical runners would be, and we'll see how that plays. If they're going to make the same checks, if they're going to avoid things that they know the other person would take, or the other way around. Should be a good show.
I kind of have the belief that you kind of run your own game. I mean, you probably may mirror some of the ideas from a different runner, and then just kind of adapt it to whatever seems more appropriate to you. There's always, if you like, do you like your gambles? Do you like their routing? Do you like their thinking along certain lines? And we started with a Sparkle and a DKC. So I guess we'll carry DKC along for the ride, I guess.
And no question about where we're going to find the hook. The Sparkle hands it off right away. If that Sparkle is Ogopogo, it's an objective, but that is our only lunar boss amongst the objectives. So if we find Ogo elsewhere, we're no longer interested in what that Sparkle is.
Probably still worth keep tracking of. There's 5 possible outcomes, so there's just one. And favorite pastime of a free key item is go to the key item spot, hope for maybe an early Earth Crystal, and see if you can pick up that treasury. Mechalink is on a different route, looking for what the characters are, and hey, that's vanilla.
The mages are in full force. Porum and Rydia at Mysidia, and Asura summon to go along with that Rydia from Edward.
The Jura summon will probably incentivize keeping, at least when RagingLevine goes to Mysidia. On the other hand, it's kind of the only concern about early mage party is always Val, and it's always one of those should I really look for Kane kind of deal. So it is worth looking, just finding where Val is, or picking up a Kane in this party, and then maybe for at least for a little bit, and then maybe yeeting him. But depends on how far we get and where Val is lodged, because where Val is lodged, back of Mount Ordeals, could be problematic.
Yeah, and if we don't have a Kane, an alternative could be that Cecil we started with next to Palom. Um, we have T. Wildish on. There's a very good chance that Cecil picks up one of his two best weapons in Eblin Castle. He can put up some good attack multipliers, and wandering in at Damsian Castle is another good option for dealing with Val. We have the Ninja Edge.
The answer to a lot of early game problems is edge, and given an early edge pickup, probably be worth try to rely on, but that obviously requires some gear. Uh, no, oftentimes, especially in the Blue Moon flag set with the sea naked flag on, you're not really guaranteed a decent weapon. It could be even a claw. So probably worth looking. And hey, there's some more vanilla.
Yep, Tella in the Watery Pass. Combine that with some mages. Maybe we have a D-Money Slingshot with an early darkness. We'll have to see how that plays out. The other benefit on T. Wildish is having a lot of good weapons lying around that Edge can dart. And circling back to that Val conversation, Dart does not care about Val's evasion.
Yep. Only matters if the monster's invincible. There's only a few monsters that have that property. One being D-Mist, the other being Z. Neither which, no, at least that. Well, one of them is definitely probably required. We'll see if D-Mist shows up. But Z, or sometimes in the early Z sequence, you can't really throw things at Z until Z gets its turn. So we'll worry about it then. Mechalink is decided. Maybe some no. We'll probably may shop early and then maybe go loot after. Because yeah, it's a good. Sometimes it's good to see if there's any goodies to take use of, like an hourglass.
Yeah, there's only one trap chest here in Eblin Cave, so you drop a quick save outside, and because of that trap chest and the location being gated by the hook, it's more valuable than some other locations that you can grab loot from early in the game.
Maybe it's just me, but I mean, they might have played with each other and learned some strats, but they're definitely doing some very different strats, just completely different. So it is a randomizer. There is no correct way. There are just more efficient ways of doing one thing, but may not turn out to be in your favor.
Rando will always rando. That's what keeps it interesting. A couple of interesting things that RagingLevine found at the end of the Watery Pass loot. I saw a Gungear for Edge to throw and a Thunderclaw for Edge to wield.
I think I just saw peeking Mechalink's equipment as a black sword, so that's, yes, Cecil's online-ish. That was some decent loot. RagingLevine picked up, like, I think a full moon, so that should help the edge that is right now just picked up right yet, not long for this world. I guess Tella's going to be the anchor. Not Probably not in the need of a ride yet. And hey, the Rosa's here.
Well, whatever your preferred mages in terms of numbers or identity, you've got pretty much every choice. There was no hope for a Fu in the Blue Moon flag set. The only way you get Fu is to start with him, but everyone else has shown up.
We could end up in a all mage seed. Depends on whether Val shows up and whether Val is required. We'll see. We'll figure that out soon enough. But yeah, all the mages. It's suddenly you can start doing reflect strats, but having an all mage team does have its caveats. There's just and not. And sometimes you need a little bit of muscle, at least a tank, to take in some damage. Cecil usually cure all and some form of guards on the Mylon spot.
Yeah, and between Valvalis being one of the objectives and the terrific gear available through T. Wildish, I'm not at all surprised to see both of our runners splitting the difference between the mages and the warriors.
just remembering how great DKC is when he has the Black Sword. Everyone's dead. That's it's just easy. How I mean, yeah, can't we have more free bosses in DKC's path? Well, we'll see in the what the Beck said. I mean, there's plenty of them. You know, there's the Kaipos guards. Oh, there's some free, but bosses with the boss bit in the Outline Cave.
Free and free. And Mechalink having such success with the Black Sword, taking advantage of a little tech. When you hit enemies with a very low ATB charge, just after they've taken their turn, your procs are a lot more likely to hit. Guaranteed, in fact, if that meter's empty.
Yeah, it's some tricks you can do with the hourglass on top of that, but you can always, turn set Cecil's turn to immediately attack that target immediately after they punch. So it requires some timing, and well, apparently Blarg will still happen. Oh wow, Darkness Crystal.
Okay,
spicy.
So about that Tella. Tella and Watery Pass, Darkness Crystal at Antlion. Might be D-money time. Let's find out.
I think the only only boss that ruins this part would be Val. But with all the levels, that'd be great. Still, would best have Cecil go up Mount Ordeals and become a paladin first before doing all of that. Otherwise, that XP gets kind of disappears. On conversion, start level 1 and a Sparkle, and will be surprised by some awful beast.
Oh yeah, and definitely do Ordeals first. Tella needs it to learn Weak. Plague at Ordeals, bah. Or at Hobbs rather, excuse me.
Plague, probably some free XP, but I mean, not a required boss, so not a concern. Looking at, hey, Val's taking a shower. We can let her take a shower. It might be worth just skipping outright. It's not at this stage. Might not be worth the time.
I was thinking maybe RagingLevine would just yeet the Gungear and be done with this, but he's going to swing in.
It's interesting. A Baron Key at the crystal altar on the Mountain Deals. Hey, is it Water Hag? Oh, it's Alt Gauntlet. Everyone's favorite grind.
And a little bit unfortunate here. Edge is wonderful for early gauntlets for his flame cast to sweep them, but the spirits on Ordeals are not impressed by his ninjutsu.
Radia's helping. And Tella's helping. That's about. I mean, it's fine. I mean, there always will be some monsters that don't immediately die from flame. In this case, they just absorb it outright. It's some of those. That's a solvable problem, not a huge deal. And this will get. This is a kind of the unintended grind that will get Cecil kind of online. So it's not. It will take some time. Nothing is immediate. Although Cecil with I think a hand axe, one of the one of the lower accuracy weapons. It's only 50 accuracy, so it's 50-50 hits. Well, it makes a hit. We'll gain a few levels, but still, it's that troll. We'll try to probably swap in something soon, hopefully sooner.
Levine, in the meantime, getting some potions used, getting the party patched up. Gonna save and take a quick look at our Mist boss. Orb.
It's you can stay here. That's fine. We'll never come back. We promise.
Right.
Skynet doesn't have to go online.
Don't need to worry about that. Moving on. RagingLevine with the darkness in hand, heading on over to Mount Ordeals.
Yeah. some interest not looting, deciding not to loot anymore. I guess it's, I mean, maybe sufficient. It's kind of, I mean, I don't know what I'm not sure if I found a decent weapon for Cecil yet. Which is kind of the thing that remains to be seen. Porum looks to be, hey, we don't, when you see a Rosa, Porum looks like kind of an afterthought. In some parties, this is fun. I mean, we have plenty of other mages and other options, so Porum doesn't look as appealing. But there are seeds where you want that early berserk, you want that solid exit, but you already have a Tella, so it's kind of redundant otherwise.
Yeah, Levine might be holding off on looting until Castle Eblin. The meta for Cecil tends to be to fish those trap chests. They stand a very good chance of rolling T8, which on this flag set means it's either going to be a Crystal Sword or an Excalibur when it hits T8.
Yeah, I'm always looking forward to the Eblin Castle looting, indirect run. I mean, if you don't find anything good, you're probably gonna still find something to sell. There's a whole host of things that could be dropped, and it might not be quite usable. Although we have two characters right now, on both teams that will, both runners that they'll probably need, some Hanzo Steel for Edge, Holy Sword for Cecil, and there's, it's hard at this point unless everything is all spears. We should be okay.
Yeah, and we can at least yeet the spears. Not the worst thing in the world, but certainly not ideal. Mechalink is through and is gonna head on down, and wonder where he's gonna go next. Where would you go?
I forget if Mechalink skipped anything. I think the Baron Incheck is on the table. Is this gonna follow into Baron Key? So that's probably what I do. Because dense is currently most dense key spot, but apparently Mechalink decided I want to go loot. That's what it, unless it's the immediate dive, which I don't think it is warranted quite yet. It needs probably at least a weapon for Cecil that isn't a tossable, and actually one of the axes that is actually naturally throwable.
Yeah, I would have the Baron in play would have made sense, but Castle Eblin makes a lot of sense too to get powered up. So as you noted earlier, there's no real wrong way to go about this. Both your yes and what Mechalink is actually doing, both make sense.
You see that Mega Nuke doing so much damage. The spot, while the Mylan Z spot, it doesn't really use magic. I mean, in Final Fantasy II, that doesn't even. There's no spells he actually uses. Only in the original vanilla, where spell is used, but doesn't even matter of the spell power. So it's always worth knowing what spots have stats that seem strangely above average to what you've normally seen.
Got one of those spears in an untrapped chest we were talking about for Mechalink, finding a white spear right before he runs into the Black Cats and the Lamia.
Yeah, I don't think Edge has enough. At least Mechalink's Edge has enough, so probably deciding trying not to gamble and hope, and when you don't do enough damage to a Black Cat, it uses Bluster, and 50-50 chance you die or get paralysis, and you might have with these monsters kind of going a little bit speedy. Sometimes paralysis might be death. Not quite, but it's close enough.
Concussed gamer in chat spying a cursed ring in somebody's inventory. So, just in case you needed that little extra help to get the party online, now you don't have to worry about your anchor. You don't have to knock Tella down for that D-money grind, if you don't want to.
I mean, I'm kind of wondering if either runner would do the D-money grind. I mean, this is the kind of the current setup. We know where Val is, so and so Kane is not really needed or any form. Just we can get a decent Cecil with a decent weapon or edge. Either way, we have a ways to take care of Val. But the longer Mechalink isn't taking care of the Lamia, Tella's gonna actually do work. Those are words I usually don't say. Tella doing work on your own team.
You've heard of Palom betrayal, but have you heard of Tella betrayal? You have now. Raging.
I missed the loot. I missed the.
Just gonna exit and yeah, let's rest. Let's save. That was a traumatic experience.
Old man betrays party. News at 11. So RagingLevine, taking some time. Those souls, they do make the grind a little miserable. I'm not sure how many JMs we picked up, which could help, but I don't think there's probably not enough damaging ones. Honestly, that might be the case. I mean, there's typically you'll find a lot of the kind of damaging J items, and that's a vanilla chest with its vanilla contents. Surprise.
But will it have a drain speed? Time will tell. Probably not.
Well, yeah, given this randomizer, it could still happen. Don't know whether. That was mean. Stalemen, while being giants, they're also they're actually kind of easily. What was the word for it? Where they just decay when they they rot a little, like when you use water on them. Rust. That's what it is. All those golems, they rust. They're weak to ice magic. That's their theme. Giants who rust.
Yeah, ribbon is not the big weapon that we were looking for, but ribbon is still a perfectly fine item to have, especially with the Golbez still looming. Against one person you can guarantee will survive the early demolish phase.
Probably my favorite piece of gear. Probably top for me. You have mage resistance. You resist a fair chunk of statuses, although Berserk is not one of them, so that's fortunate. You can Berserk through it, and though one of the things it doesn't protect you really against is anything that the crystal ring covers. So we're talking about charm, sleep, maybe sleep, but definitely charm, paralysis, things kind of the uncontrollable stats. So those are. Ribbon does solve a lot of things, but it doesn't cure that. And hey, an axe that Cecil can use.
Yeah, Ribbon Crystal Ring is the great combo for Golbez and for a lot of things, without a doubt.
Yeah, Mad Ogres, really, have pretty well. You can't really use offensive magic on them. We're talking about like Fire 3, Quake, unless you're having a Leviathan, or better, like they have maximum magic defense, but they're very vulnerable to. They're giants, and they're also mages, and those, at least especially in terms of Final Fantasy IV gear, they're in abundance. So they're like a ribbon would allow any character to just kind of face tank any of the Mad Ogre punches for the most part. But right now, just trying to. I think with Edge might think of take a turn, get him steal a few things. Not might, especially if you don't, especially with the two berserkers in the party, you can't guarantee that Bacchus Wine are in play. You might have to steal a few.
Yeah, S standard gives about a 90% chance of finding any particular level 5 item in its shops, so likely that somewhere underground or on the moon are our Bacchus wines, but it is not a guarantee.
It's looking like hoping Mechalink picks up something of interest. More black shirts. How quaint. Like, you know, it was thought that they would be good for a Rydia, but we have a Palm, so I guess that's enough. And maybe and the old man can pick and use any mage gear. So that's I guess that's something. Right now, I think we've found all loots for mages, and that's about as best as we can get. And not, man, that was a disappointing. That's a disappointing loot. Maybe the cave or the Tower of Babel will supply us with something worthwhile. I think that's worth at least looting for.
Yeah, I don't think either of our runners are going to give up on looting until they've got a quality weapon in Cecil's hand, and Castle Evelyn definitely did not deliver as far as that goes. Oh, but we'll buy if we can't sell, if we can't loot it. We got some ninja swords. They're not bad.
No, we're selling the farm for them. That's even for one. We'll sell on the farm. Oh, that Kane is not in the seed. He can go. His equipment. We're pawning it off. And if we're nice, we're gonna get a second one. Oh, there we go. So get a second one.
Yeah.
So I think so far they've. I think. Wait, it looks like Mechalink hasn't gotten the Darkness Crystal. I think that was from Antlion. So it
was.
That pretty sure. And so yeah, that was. So that's the only difference between the two. And that right now, kind of Mechalink's a little bit behind than that. Not just not having it, but not picked it up. Because if you're going to the underground without the Darkness Crystal, you're going to be starting to do more checks than necessary to find find access to the moon, and that is not a good time. Especially in what tends to happen is you're gonna forget that the checks you might have faded, they have what you need.
Yeah, and Mechalink also hasn't checked on the Mist Cave or the Waterfall bosses, so he's behind an objective as well. This is a very aggressive move to get underground quickly and start looking at a lot of those bosses and locations. It's also a play perhaps to limit the amount of time spent in Fabul.
There's that. I mean, fading when you have early hook, fading a lot of the spots because hey, I've got access. I'll come back later if I really. We'll probably still do the checks, but like at a later date where you have more power, so doing those spots will be easier. So we know that like the nasty Val in the watery pass, that is something you don't want to do this early anyways. So in terms of that, that makes sense. There'll be time saved by Mechalink in doing that. On the other hand, it's also something that if you forget, it's going to be to your detriment more often than not. And there have been races that decided on doing fading it because you can do it later, but forgetting that and it's happened.
Yeah, it's also possible Mechalink is just Cecil hunting. Just checking the trap chest. I wouldn't be shocked to see Mechalink immediately cast Exit after getting the contents of this and going back and clearing the overworld. We'll just have to see what the plan is once he gets through this thing.
I mean, that could be doable. There's some Nord Hanzo steel. Nice. From a routing perspective, if you exit out of it, like there's sometimes when you get an early hook, you normally you would try to pick up the free character here and then exit out and do all your overworld checks. I think in this type of flag set, it makes less sense to do it. It can be done. It's not nothing will stop a runner from doing it. It's probably when you kind of double dip Ebling Cave in this manner, it's not efficient, especially when you've already done a number of checks, done the Ebling Castle grind effectively. You just kind of, it makes sense to just continue on this path unless there's a really nasty boss at the end of it, like a turtle, like Kanazo. Then you probably think at least a little bit, delay the inevitable.
Yeah, the untrapped loot there, handing over a ninja shirt. That's some very fine defensive gear. 3 points of agility, 2470 on the physical side, and not quite white shirt numbers on the magical side, but pretty good. It's probably going to get swapped for a black belt or a power shirt at some point, but for now, I personally don't hate it.
Interesting. The Mechalink's just kind of vendoring off right now for the sirens, trying not to avoid the double dip of coming here to buy more sirens, which, that isn't the worst thing. Oftentimes, you don't have the money the first time around, although the first spending spree was for ninja swords, so
right.
Those were, you sunk a lot of money and then didn't have enough for the sirens you actually do need for the eventual grind. So I think at least that I understand. Dwarf X, and hey, there's a Leviathan at the end of this path.
Yeah, that's not a boss that's going to scare anybody. The Thunderclaw is nice for that boss, but even without it, there's no trouble there. The magic power in that spot isn't too terribly overwhelming, so the Ice 2s should be manageable.
I think I've seen the I thought I saw an Ogre X on Mechalink's side, but I think this seed is yearning for a Dragoon, not in this seed, unfortunately. Another white spirit showed up, but it's trying to tell you, Val.
And Zald, our tracker, letting us know that Mecha sold the Ogre Axe as part of the must-have ninja swords fire sale.
So RagingLevine going Baron in, having a French vanilla setup ready in where the guards are, and then so now we're going to see who is in the karate spot. Hey, it's a Sparkle. Is it the one we need? No, it is not.
No, just dealers. Gotta have a couple thousand each in terms of hit points, so RagingLevine should be able to get through this.
So that's like the 2 Sparkles. I know we have that one in Baron that we do not know what it is, so 3 known locations, and still 2 more at large. So that I'm sure will be fun for everyone to guess where they're at. Hey, Sparkles, they're something. Sold an Ogre Axe, picked up an Ogre Axe.
Sometimes it works out.
I find that the randomizer has its own jokes. There are times where when there is one of things, you get 10 of them just because it's the randomizer. And Pinktail, that's nice.
Given the difficulty we've had finding a Cecil weapon, that Pinktail could be huge.
Yeah, it's kind of at times. There are times where when you have berserkers, you feel that when you have Forge available, something along those lines, you might commit a little bit of time just doing it straight up. And RagingLevine is doing Baron, but accidentally went cannot go through the front door, unfortunately. Although right now is fighting the inventory boss.
A few pesky things going on here. Guards not letting us take convenient paths. Inventory boss.
Zura is at the King Queen Emma spot. That spot being super punchy, so I guess that accounts for the radio taking a nap. That's fine. No, there's no XP at that spot. Not a huge deal, and probably might just skip the safety save. It's a Leviathan, and the ruby and anytime a ruby will show up, whether it's quarter leg or full leg, the vanilla spot. There's a free healing, so we'll take advantage of that immediately.
Big Wave comes out, as Leviathan always starts with, dealing 25% of the party's maximum hit points to each character, and then switch over to some Ice 2s before going back to the Big Wave. Wash, rinse, and repeat.
This is a free car wash. That's what it is.
Pretty much.
Still enough magic power to take down Radia. I mean, I guess you have to consider that this spot, usually with Ruby, you get the Fire 2 counter. Well, imagine if Fire 2 was Ice 2 and single targeted. Well, that's what it feels like. So you're not really threatened by it unless you're Atella, who would probably just as well take a nap. Some veil has been used, so I guess increase the uptime of Cecil, which is it's fine. I don't typically Cecil will get a decent a bit of gear to resist a lot of the elementals, and any of the dragoons that is usually top tier Cecil equipment.
It's Blarg, but conveniently, RagingLevine has set up a fast anchor with edge, so plenty of time to get those star veils in position.
Yeah, it's been said, I'm sure, in different seasons. When you have edge early, edge will allow you to do a lot of things early on, and being ahead of the game is one of them, especially in these early spots where the boss's speed isn't that high, and edge will often take the first turn. So this is always a plus in edge's spot.
On to the Baron Throne. It's yet another Sparkle.
Is it the one we need? That is the question. Obviously not.
We've now seen every Sparkle, but the one we need, right?
I think maybe we have missed Plague. I think that's the only one. Maybe.
Plague is on hops.
Oh, okay. So then that's just the last one we find is the one we need. The seed is telling us, have all the sparkles except for the sparkle that you need. It's probably what's gonna happen. The sparkle is gonna be in its vanilla spot, and we're just gonna have to like that.
And we might like it here in the audience, but the runners would not appreciate it.
Paladin, not too threatening a boss. You'll always hear the sound of its people once you deal damage to him. Although we'll have other things in store if you use a summon or elemental magic on it. So elemental that is non-holy magic. So you just want to punch it and maybe use virus or nuke whenever possible. That's not tough boss, but you just need to remember not to make the wrong choice. And we peaked an Odin.
Yep, objective at top of tower, even without a tower key in hand, Mechalink might be tempted to run up there and deal with it. The magic power there is abysmally low. The Odin attack is not a threat.
Yeah. I mean, it is a required objective, so Odin is on the table, so it certainly will be worth doing. Although, there might be some reluctance, not having the tower key, but there's an objective. There's with a lot of mini runners trying to test the keyless tower, keyless tower play. I guess Mechalink thinking maybe you need a few levels before taking that on, which is not the worst thing to do. When you're not sure, take a quick grind and then come back to figure out whether you want to do that. Quick grind now. I guess maybe to get Rosa to Cure 3. I think she's not quite at that level, and that will be usually a decent safety net for Rosa.
In the meantime, Levine finds Dr. Dialogue himself in the basement. Not an objective, could be a key item, but K summon a lot less likely to hit than K main checks, so we're just gonna leave that be for now.
No, I think might be worth doing. It's kind of free. I mean, the only punches that being dealt would be from the robot or the alternate robot form. Luge himself actually does a lot of magic damage, and although that spot does have a lot of magic, the selection of kind of enemy skills or enemy spells, they don't really rely too much on that spell multiplier. So it's kind of free if if RagingLevine wanted to really take that on. Probably it's like maybe later, and that's fine. I don't. It doesn't. It's kind of also technically an indirectly long check because Dr. Dialogue being who he is.
Pinktail paying off. Levine getting a hold of the Crystal Sword for the Pinktail turn-in. That is huge. He's going to get through all of these fights a lot faster with the second most powerful weapon in the game, courtesy of the Swing Flag.
Yeah, right now that will probably kind of catapult RagingLevine in time. Right now, I wouldn't say that RagingLevine is behind, but Mechalink is doing a lot more checks, so it's kind of how much time between kind of retracing Mechalink's steps and then some before we can safely say. But right now, this is time to be picked up easily by RagingLevine with having the Crystal Sword, where Mechalink has an Ogre X on Cecil, which will not be of some more vanilla.
Nice, another rat tail. So yeah, there's two ways potentially that this gets Levine some time back. One, going through the fights faster, but two, if Levine decides that he's at the point of, I have all the gear I want, I'm done looting, and Mechalink keeps opening chests, searching for something better than that Ogre Axe, then that's another way that Levine could get through this part of the seed faster.
Yeah, it's kind of like time lost to loot. Time lost to loot is probably a way of putting it. It's trying to. It's curious of some of the choices, but hey, there's still things. Oh yeah, there's. For RagingLevine probably should be mostly done. I'm not sure what. What we're looking for. I mean, there are times where when you pick, like, for a lot of the top tier runners, when they find a top tier weapon, it's it's that time. It's like it's done. And although sometimes occasionally they'll pick up a thing or two, just helping for like maybe a cursed ring or two. So it's there's always something that they don't have that they need. So it's happening.
Mechalink says no thank you to that Fame Arch. We've got Kainazo at Leviathan. Some runners, some of the people in chat might be hoping for that to have something important. We know it can't be Darkness Crystal or even Baron Key, but it's still theoretically possible that it's required. It's a spot that punches hard and has a lot of hit points for Kainazo's wave attack.
I'm on team hard fade punchy Leviathan spot. That's an easy fade. But the Mylon that we don't know is on the other side. That is a lot less threatening, even regardless of which Mylon version is in that spot. So I would have at least thought of doing that spot. Hoping you just pick up a little bit of XP. But although we know where the Darkness Crystal is, so it's probably not necessarily a key item that we need, unless it's like the Baron Key, which we already know where we have, but like Earth Crystal, Harp, Luca Key, Tower Key. Those are the ones that in terms of gating bosses, those are what we're really looking for.
Yep, those are definitely important ones. Mechalink picking up a Leviathan summon in Dwarf Castle, uses that to give Rydia some power. Time to open up the car wash.
What is the likelihood we will see picking picking up Leviathan in the fight. I mean, it has happened. Pick up Leviathan, pay and spend it immediately, and then only to find, oh, we could have gotten it for free later on. Like right now, it's like you pass the hook route in Mechalink's case, and hey, a freebie.
Speaking of fights where being able to deal AoE damage is convenient, the spot's got about almost 9,000 hit points, so having it split up 3 ways and setting up for a car wash, I'm here for it. Or we could just cloth it. That's also fair.
Well, it is also a kind of a dangerous, punchy spot. Considering we typically try to avoid in vanilla seeing the Calbrandal, but the spot uses Calbrandal and surprisingly has a lot of punch and magic power. So can't really ignore the spot, and this is kind of a spot that runners have kind of ignored, but in this flag set where boss hunting is required, this spot is kind of really important. It's essentially Baron in Redux, done differently with the potential of picking up an additional key item with the warp glitch.
Yep, and Mechalink getting 2 life glitches in, extra XP. If we'd been to Zot, we would know who this boss is already, but we're just now finding out it's the other Mylon.
So Mechalink will know what Mylon will be taken out, and it's obviously Mylon Z at in the Fame March. Not too tough, but still a nuisance, and Mylon Z is he's fun. It's no dance party though, so that's, I guess, maybe less fun.
Yeah, there's still a little bit of fun to fall flat into the deep ravine. But yeah, the dance party is here at Dwarf, where there's music to dance to, but it makes for a much shorter fight.
Interesting. RagingLevine is having a little bit of trouble with the spot. I'm trying to remember. I think there should be someone that has a ribbon. I think both have raided Evelyn Castle, so that is kind of making this battle a little bit harder, unintentionally for RagingLevine, but taken care of. So probably the least of his problems.
Luca says here, have yourself some Zeus gauntlets, punch harder. Might be one of the few things that Levine could be hoping to find with his looting. Just get to Luca. That's interesting.
Well, that is a crystal on an altar, so I guess that's
Sure.
something. It's French vanilla-ish. I don't know. It's French vanilla adjacent. The crystal. When the crystal rooms don't have a crystal, it's a sham. It really is. But it looks like, I think Mechalink is probably just going to take a look at what that entails. Right. I mean, there are other spots on the table, but no. I mean, Fame March not looking appealing, and even though we know that the required boss is on the Tower Battle from the underground side, this is more. I guess we're probably gonna loot and then maybe go up the tower. It's not the worst, not the worst decision I've seen.
Yeah, lacking any real weapon for Cecil, that treasury has to be super appealing, and then you've got the efficient routing of Runzat, get dropped off in Baron, and then Mecha hasn't done Baron in, so he can clean that up, go into the castle afterwards, and just kind of pick up a lot of the overworld that was left behind in all fell swoop. But speaking of which, it's time to play everyone's favorite game.
Raise that treasury!
It's already shirts over 10. Oh my god. It's shirts over 10.
A couple of dragon items too, but yeah. Shirt out of 10.
with also Kane out of 10 as well. Shirts and Kane over 10 because that was a lot of everything else too. You know the. I mean, who does?
That's the kind of treasury you want when you already have a crystal sword. I'm looking at you, Levine. Get on over there.
Yeah. I mean, when you know your gear is not ideal, the treasury is usually solves that. But then again, has been known to be a complete bust or disappointing. If at least this isn't the worst. I mean, you have two berserkers and at least two mages. I mean, yeah, Tella's a mage, but he's not gonna probably make the most of all your gear. You want to keep Rydia and Rosa up, or at least Mechalink's case. So I think Mechalink's forgot to do the freak item. So I guess that's something.
You know, I mean, it's just an Asura.
I mean, when you get
Good
the
thing it wasn't like a pan or a tower key.
Yeah,
that would have been feels bad.
Or it was just early Earth crystal, like that would have
Sure.
been those are there are moments. So I have felt those before. RagingLevine going for dwarf makes sense. I mean, most popular boss spot, at least in this flag set. So following in Mechalink's footsteps. So right now, not quite getting enough time though, but that crystal sword will kind of show its worth. I mean, especially when RagingLevine visits Feymarch, as that Mylon Zed is pretty much a goner with that crystal sword doing work. So that will be significant time saved.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. You understand Mecha fading Feymarch when he did, even the Mylon, but with Levine knowing that it's Zed and having that crystal sword in hand, I wouldn't be shocked if he took it. If it's got something that turns into value, maybe objective at Twin Harp, then that could be a significant difference.
Our in-game Joker. He's made Mechalink reset. Probably not quite set up ideally, but this is a free spot. This spot is open to everyone. Like in Free Enterprise, Zot opens. There's no requirement to go up Tower of Zot. So this has been open for both our runners from the beginning, and now finding out that Mechalink will try to use statuses to try to avoid being paralyzed from hold gas.
Yeah, and it'll work just fine thanks to FF4 status priority. Hold gas is going to miss everyone here. The magic here isn't overwhelming and the hit points are a bit high, so unlike other spots where you can rely on Golbez to take himself out, Mechalink's gonna have to do some of the work.
This spot has the combined HP of all the Mag Sisters, so that will require a little bit of time. But the spot itself isn't particularly high in magic. There's some notable magic to be done, but probably will be best met with some assisted damage. So it'll take some time, but apparently not from the berserkers that are left there. That were just immediately taken down moments ago.
Yeah, no friendly targeting of the ribbon-wearing character for Mechalink. Gonna have to rely either get them back up to get the damage in, which looks like the plan. It's either that or rely on Leviathan casts from Rydia to get through.
A rare Life 2 cast. You don't. I mean, he has enough to cast one, so I get that. I mean, I guess that pays off. Then probably might be able to steal some magic from MP at this spot. Not too high on the magic defense, so might be able to steal some magic. But we'll try to not use life potions. Just trying to use Tella's magic to revive everyone, which can be kind of a gamble. And that lit 3. Oh.
Yeah, that'll leave a mark. Probably wanted to make sure Edge got at least a couple of attacks in. The magic power, as you commented, is notable, but not overwhelming, but it's definitely enough to take down a Life 1 character.
But still, at least fortunate to take down that Golbez, hoping for a decent key item and another boss on that list to take care of. So we still know where Odin is at top of the underground lower Babel Tower. So but everyone else, and the last sparkle we find will be the one that we're looking for Ogo. So still plenty of bosses to be found.
Yep, and that ties us up with that objective for Mechalink at 2 bosses apiece.
But it's still interesting, this especially the early divergence. It's gonna I'd be surprised when we look back at this at the end of this race to see what was effectively the right choice. But RagingLevine will definitely climb back up with that crystal sword in hand. So we'll see how much of a lead Mechalink will have. It's not even really a lead. It's more of just more divergence upon divergence.
Yeah, Mechalink's early dive of Underground has prompted this situation. We'll eventually meet at Zeromus, but runners can often take a very different path to get there, and getting the hook right away is a good way to get some potential divergence in the seed.
Curious, and Religion really is taking this grind. I'm not sure. I'm wondering if it's going to be like to getting, say, Cure 4 on Rosa before fighting whatever is at the Fey March. And we know that one half of the Fey March we're not really concerned about. It's the turtle that we don't know if that's even required for the key item gating a potential boss. So if it's even a key item worth doing, and elements Mechalink having a bad time with elements, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, now that's a spot with very high magic power. Valvalis is normally there, and the game designers wanted to make sure that she never missed with her weak and raycast, so they put the magic power through the roof. Give that magic power to the Rubicon phase of the elements, and you're going to have a bad day with his AoE fire attacks.
Yeah, well, Ray, for skills, Ray doesn't really care about how much accuracy it's supposed to hit. It's designed to always hit. Weak is the one, but you can still evade it. It's just and oftentimes when you see a D machine grind, you put Tell in the middle, and that spell doesn't require that much wisdom. I mean, it does require the being in the middle spot to boost the accuracy of its spot. So I think this is a spot where maybe worth using Reflect and Tella. That just it's one of those things where you think Tella might not be useful. No, Tella is great in the spot. Although that was just the first hit kill by Radia. Yeah, probably should have tried that the first time, but that's okay.
Got a better roll this time around, and all is well.
Yeah, with the element spot, the important thing to know is it's splitting the HP of the spot. There's 2 kind of physical bosses there, so Val is about I think about 8,000. So that's about the magical number to hit when it comes to that boss. Given there's just 2 bosses in that split, it's but knowing the kind of knowledge of the boss splits, and hey, we can go underground.
That's a vanilla magma key. Nice.
Even more reason to go underground. The seed has jokes. The seed has jokes.
And Mechalink going with that routing that we expected. On to Baron Inn. Gonna find that pigtail. Yeah, I'm not sure. He might go ahead and finish Baron while he's here before he turns that in, but I think once he does, he's going to be somewhere in the middle between sweating and cursing.
Well, right now there's a more justification to do it. Like Pingtail tends to be like an off check, but having the Rat Tail in hand will increase the chance for another key item that may or may not need, at least for the XP grind. You know, having 10 key items will get you double XP. So doing this in Mechalink's case is more convenient, but will probably, you know, feel behind a little bit because, you know, hey, what is the chances my opponent will have the crystal sword given this spot? I mean, this spot has been available from the start, so having skipped it for this long, you know, the potential, like just kind of the worst case scenario in this, you know, if RagingLevine had it from the very beginning, then this time, then you're just playing catch up. At least you feel that way, and that might, to this point, it's hard to tell if there's any sort of catching up. I feel like they're right now even more or less. So it's just a matter of time where they're going to converge, and then we'll have a better idea of if either one of them is actually behind.
Yep. As Mechalink retreads the barren ground and RagingLevine sets up for moderately length Mylon Z fight, let's give a quick shout out to our runners. They both put on a good show for you. You want to see them doing some more free enterprise action during and after the tournament, go follow them at their Twitch channels. And also, the crew putting the show on, Harumph rolled us a nice and interesting seed, kept the key items and bosses relatively hidden, not jetty at all in spite of that early darkness, and Zald is keeping everything straight with the bosses and the objectives. So follows all around. And to my co-commentator Deathlike, knows a lot about this randomizer and about the vanilla game in general.
I like my scoop of vanilla. Thank you. Looks like and having a lot of fun here. Looks like Mechalink will find out what this sparkle is. We already know not what you're looking for, but and it's Blarg O'Clock for sure. RagingLevine picking up a Masa from the Mylon Z spot, so that's quite nice having Murzame on top of that. So both Berserkers pretty much online, but skipped the turtle. I mean, that turtle does a very good job of dissuading you from till you have to kind of reach power overwhelming, and you know it's not, it doesn't surprise anyone. At least if that turtle was required, we probably might think differently of, you know, should RagingLevine consider doing it given, you know, what he has as of right now.
Gonna land outside of Sylph. Time to set up Sheila 1. You can only put this off for so long, and we've had a lot of vanilla in this seed. Vanilla Pam would definitely be a strong lesson of check your freebies.
Yeah, this seed, this is like, I think on both runners, I mean, we're 1 hour in, and yeah, it's only 3 known objectives. I think we might reach that point where, you know, there'll be some panic checks. Like you can't face check when you have only 3 bosses on the table. You're actually gonna have to do an LST dive, a real LST dive, and that means a required grind. And it doesn't have to be a significant grind. Usually, you want to get Rosa up till Cure 4 and call it a day, and probably be good enough. Sometimes you want to go most of the way where Rosa learns White, maybe Radiagoat learns Nuke. So, you know, it's up to the runners to figure out what is the best use of time and try to minimize any sort of downtime while doing so. And that's where the rumors came from.
Mm-hmm. And fortunately for Levine, he's already taken care of that grind to set up to the Fey March. He's in a good position to work his way through the LST, clearing the bosses if he hasn't located some of the other gating key items. The harp, the Luca key, the package, or the tower. If he can find some of those through some chains in these last earth checks, then he still might be able to go into face check mode, but he is definitely not there yet.
It is possible, given the key items we've gotten and the bosses that we've seen, that there really is a good chance that you'll have some chain to the boss that you actually want to face. And looks like it probably should take this, although could reset because it's not what he's looking for. So but yeah, looks like to take this on right now. Shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully we'll at least. Thunderclaw would be nice. I think both of them at least have had access to. So, but not using it. So, could save time. But whatever. We'll see. Probably shouldn't be too bad. Odin won't kill them all though quickly. At least at this spot.
No, it'll be fine. More than enough power to get through. Got time for Lightning 3 from the Quack Kid for the Quad 9s. We are over and done. Is it a vanilla tower key? Give me a vanilla tower key.
No, it's the half of Forge, but that's okay. You can't have all the vanilla. It just can't happen. I'd like to hug.
Can I?
I would like some other flavors of vanilla too. There's plenty of vanilla. Don't worry. We'll sooner or later we'll pick it up. It's not too far fetched that if Mechalink does this spot, gets an Odin. That would be true vanilla.
That's just rude vanilla. To be fair, vanilla tower key isn't the most polite version of vanilla either.
It's convenient. It's there. You know how.
Tell that to every runner that has faded keyless tower until the end.
Yeah, that's one of those things where the key item gating the location of the key drop off. Those are dream seeds. Those are seeds where everything falls into place. Where you have all the key items laid out like not like a jigsaw puzzle, but more like a Jenga tower. And we'll find out what that boss. That's unfortunate.
They have power shirts at home.
I think that's might as well. No, that's a reset.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? I'm so disgusted by this. I will not even.
That walk, because that walk of shame, getting out of that was
Time consuming.
It is. You can't exit. I mean, the Baron is the strongest, one of the strongest powers in the game, and you think, how we make it strong? We can't exit out of the building. That's true power.
I mean, if we could exit, we would skip tragic cutscenes where the twins save us. So we can't have that. Mechalink, though, getting these overworld checks cleared up, about to head over to the waterfall and get objective number 3 for him, Valvalis. RagingLevine also heading up Zot towards the other known objective, Golbez. That'll be 4 for him.
I think this will bring some belief to Mechalink in the sense that, didn't need a cane or something, but right now I see a Runex hasn't cashed in both tails, which probably by the time that is routed in, then we'll realize, I needed this like an hour ago.
This would have been great much earlier. Now but making a methodical loop through the overworld makes sense from his perspective. I'm going to get his darkness crystal. You might be wondering how long Levine has had that item too.
Yeah, but But probably this is less of a panic because even though your opponent might have had it, might have taken longer. Depends, depending on the boss. And this probably not the boss location to worry about the boss at all.
Especially not when it's King Queen Evelyn.
Yeah, but this time that you could have enough damage to just DPS them and not wait for them to have a little chat actually more like disappear on you. So, time saved. Consider this. Would you have wanted to wait the maybe 15-30 seconds of doing nothing and letting them attack you, and then let them killing themselves, or you telling them to be quiet, please disappear and give me my key item? That's it's kind of time saved. It's hard. It's quantifiable sometimes, and you probably could do a stop. You could put a stopwatch on it and figure out. But you can. These are like a lot of time saving measures. Sometimes they're not obvious until you see it. Oh, you could save time doing X or Y at Z time.
Mechalink continuing his smooth progression. Gonna find the plague here, reset out of it, probably on to Fabul next, and then swoop down to take care of turning in the RagingLevine tail.
Did Mechalink did a scythe check at all? I'm trying to remember. I don't think there was
We're about to find out.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I think RagingLevine didn't find anything of value from this at this spot, so that's not too bad. And RagingLevine will find out. Hey, it's a party up on the top of the tower.
This is not the sparkle you're looking. Oh wait, it is. No one's been to Fabul yet. Hello.
Super convenient. Could have had it from the beginning.
So long ago.
This seed.
You need a Gungear straight in his face. Like at base level, Edge can still one-shot that.
Oh, mandatory double dip.
Oh, so cruel.
As it has been said before, key items like the pen, it's like the worst case. I'd rather just try to do this objective. Take with the knowledge if I don't have to double dip Scythe Cave, that would be great. But in the event, I'd rather guarantee a double dip here than try to get a single dip here. It's easier to single dip Scythe Cave than it is to double dip to avoid the double dip of Fabul. So that's what happens when you fade these locations. Sometimes it doesn't quite pay off as you expect it to.
Yeah, but conveniently Mechalink has not set up Sheila 1, so only will have to go to Sylph Cave once. And that's moving him in that direction, but no, we're going to continue that loop. And now it is finally time to receive your Crystal Sword, Mechalink, as well as whatever the Ragtail gives you.
Yeah, the panic might set in.
Just maybe.
Yeah. And RagingLevine will find out, hey, we can go underground again.
And the Moonveil, less impressive. Not horrible, but less impressive.
Yeah,
Potential value for that if D-Mist is in a very punchy spot just to keep someone immune. I mean, D-Mist does give you plenty of time to set up blinks with that Mist phase, but just being able to take one character and leave them immune is nice, especially if it's Cecil in the back row and he just, or in front row with a Moonveil, and he just covers your entire party.
Yeah, Moonveil has some particular uses. I mean, obviously the Reflect is nice, but yeah, being effectively invincible physically is pretty nice. There's only a few instances where that is not the case. We're talking about like the Z fight, where there's no punching, but also black hole takes that away from you, which is unfortunate. Yeah, the Raging Levine eventually coming back. I think having done a safe. I don't think has even happened. So
Yes.
So-
Levine did set up Sylph, so can
Okay.
do a Sheila 1 check here.
well, we'll get the great news that you need to go back. So so we're gonna find out the results of the pan right now. I think aside of Mechalink not doing top of Zod, they're about at the same pace. Levine probably a little bit ahead, a little bit. And hey, that's vanilla.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I think I feel Harumph
Incoming
is
spoon? Maybe.
Harumph is doing a good impression of doing all the vanilla in the seed. This package. You know, at this stage, it might be worth peaking. I mean,
Right.
we're at the stage where peaking bosses. I mean, we're not quite at peaking boss. I mean, it's kind of on the cusp. So I think it's still worth doing at this point. Like,
Yeah.
might get a slight advantage doing so, but only if it pays up.
Well, sure, but you can't know that going in. I'd want to check it. Going from 5 to 6 is a pretty significant jump. Might make that LST trip a lot shorter.
But you can still. I think starting at having 5 out of 7 bosses, face chucking is still on the table. If there was 4 or less, then I would be you'd have to do a full clear, and those are not exactly fun. So those it can be. I don't know how the number of free bosses that are still on the table. There's probably still a couple. Like I think Water Hag is still on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And
Water Hag is on the table. The Officer and Guards still on the table. So, a couple of truly free bosses and several others that are free based on the power level.
Well, this is
Mechalink gets the Twin Harp from the Pan turn-in and is immediately going to go look into that boss.
well, we'll have to determine whether Harumph will lose the hey, this is required harp. We'll find out soon enough. So we'll have to cross our fingers if we were rooting for Fade Harp to be in effect.
And we're getting our major divergence. Raging Levine says, you know what? Enough of this Earth. I'm at 5. 2's a reasonable number to expect on the moon. Let's head up there and see how this goes.
Yeah, typically a lot of the one-off plays, like harp would be considered a one-off play. Package, tower key. Well, not necessarily tower key, but Luca key. That would be effectively a one-off play. Those spots where you have to kind of go out of your way for just one boss check. For many runners, don't look appealing. So sometimes when you see runners, try to avoid them kind of till the very end. It's because it might not pay out, and it might not actually get. You might have, if it's wrong, that time committed might take too much. That might be too much. But right now, let's worry about listening to DJ Spoony B playing his wonderful tunes. such a good rendition of Black Omen from Chrono Trigger. And hey, do we want to go down that rabbit hole?
Yes. You take all this time checking Twin Harp, you're committing to whatever it gives you. You're not gonna just come here and go, well, that was fun. Goodbye.
No.
Also, Mechalink still needs to take care of that pesky Odin, so it kind of puts him in the neighborhood.
Might as well. So, I mean, that is the only objective that is required from the seed. So probably incentivized to actually go down, whether or not Luca pays off. Having picked up, I think, the Earth Crystal from that location. So yeah, we'll see what the boss is, and at least it's a peak. But doing the required objective first makes a lot of sense. RagingLevine effectively doing a grind before whatever the boss is. I didn't see what the boss was at that spot.
I didn't either. I was distracted by the lovely Chrono Trigger music. Anyone in chat see what was on? Thank you, Zald and Harumph, our tracker and our restreamer, keeping us straight. Ruby at K value.
So,
I'm not interested.
So it's probably at this point just a grind. Will be faded at least until we need some key item from that location. Which, but Ruby at that spot probably actually could be kind of frightening when Ruby actually punches. Ruby's script doesn't really punch that often. The only real threat typically from Ruby would be if the spell power is high and the counter fire 2 can do some work sometimes. So, but Mechalink will engage Odin, finding out that two bosses with the same elemental weakness have to conspire together. That's how bosses roll.
Levine's gotten what he wants from Gold Dragons. Not interested in that Rubicante. Like from Levine's perspective, the only key items he's missing, that gate. He's missing a harp, a tower key, a Luca key. 3 bosses out and already at 5 of 7. You've got to like the odds of being able to just sweep through and look for your objectives.
Yeah, I mean, there's the 5 bosses in LST, K value, and Giant. So whatever is left, regardless of the key item gated bosses, it's safe, pretty safe, reasonable safe to gamble on what's left on the table instead of hoping it's on one of the kind of key item gated locations. It's just that's what the math says.
Yeah, you can take it if it's fast and free, or it'd be reasonable to skip it, but it's hard for me to imagine Levine going through any kind of protracted fight on the moon.
I mean, oftentimes, if you do a one-off check, it's kind of on your way. Sometimes, the routing, kind of the neighborhood play, when it's convenient. So, say if Harp came into Earth Crystal, those are usually kind of tempting combo to do. But the only caveat is, if all of them don't get you what you need, they don't give you the bosses you need, then in which case they look like bad plays. But oftentimes, some runners will more often than not try to combine certain routes so that it doesn't waste too much time in between, and which are usually fairly good standard plays.
Well, this is one of those free fights, officer and soldier. Levine, far from being out of coffins, gonna get a life glitch here for a little extra power because, why not? And the rest of this fight will be over really soon, and could have, as far as Levine knows, could have a twin heart, could have a Luca key, could have a tower key, could have a pass.
I think the pass would be at least the most worthwhile of these types of checks. Free bosses are pretty tempting, and that's the rope of shame that Mechalink just went through. Happens to everyone. I mean, it only takes one step and you're there. I think it was 1 or 2 steps. It's pretty easy to kind of trip up. It happens. So no shame in admitting it happens.
Officer and soldiers going down quickly as expected. Sand ruby is a key item, but we're already at 10, so just a sad ruby.
No, with no free characters to pick up from that key item. Yeah, it's lost its value. It's pretty sad. It is.
Sad Ruby getting left alone in Cave Bahamut. Sad Ruby at the Murasame altar.
It's not a boss we're looking for.
Ugh,
So,
you know, good news. You don't have to fight that.
Yeah. So right now, RagingLevine is a bit ahead just because of the rabbit hole Mechalink went down. I don't think it's quite entirely that, but right now it's what it's kind of boiling down to. Yeah, RagingLevine is certainly ahead. Look, probably doing a top down. Right now, we're not entirely sure, but well, I mean, we'll have to face check all the boss spots until otherwise. Top down being preferable because you want to be thorough on your checks. You want to peek every spot, and in this case maybe Wyvern comes first or Wyvern comes late. Either way, that is being thorough helps a lot in terms of figuring out whether you want to take on a boss. Sometimes more than one boss is in the same area, and you're having your last boss that you need to pick up. So you might get options doing it that way.
Great turn from our point of view at the fork says that Levine's heading to the density. 2 bosses side by side here, and another one just 1 floor down. Save that Crystal Sword altar for last. White Spear first, and will this be our 6th objective?
Yes.
Yes, it will be with a Dark Elf. Dark Elf, meet Crystal Sword. Have a bad day.
Dark Elf doesn't like holy weapons, so it's gonna don't need a Raiden to remind. Don't need a Latella to remind you of that. It's fine. But should be pretty quick. Dark Elf extra weak to holy, the second version, while weak to holy weapons, but can absorb holy spells. So that's the tricky part of the Dark Elf. You can't, but sharp objects need apply.
And Mechalink gonna take the same grind that we saw Levine working a little bit ago. Levine having that lead thanks to dodging the Twin Harp rabbit hole, which in another seed could have paid off, and Mechalink could be the one out in front now, just not today.
I think that's French vanilla. That's the White Spear spot, but Murazam is one of the things dropped here, so I guess that's French vanilla.
Yeah,
it's fine. Well, that is definitely not what RagingLevine was looking for.
Because that's exactly what the Ribbon Room needed, is a boss with more hit points. Spot's already got 42,000, tack on some extra for the explode phase. I mean, granted, Crystal Sword Cecil is going to tear through those hit points. Might not even get an explode off, but you don't want to have to sit there even longer than you already are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's see, what's left is Demist at this spot would be nasty. Nope, it's a wall. Ignore wall.
Wall at that spot would also be nasty, but we're just going to go on. At this point, we know in chat that none of the key items outstanding on the moon are required. The only one we could have that we haven't seen yet that gates a boss is Tower Key. It holds a boss, and it can't possibly gate a second boss behind it.
I don't think we checked package right either. That's
true. We have not checked package. It could have value, but we will not need the tower key to get there.
Yeah. And then there's also the giant bosses, which neither have checked. So we're still plenty of bosses on the table. So not quite in desperation yet. But still, that's still a bit more of the seed to go. And RagingLevine looking at what this spot entails.
Our last check on the LST is balls. That's it. RagingLevine is our first runner in go mode, and Mechalink's route to catch up is Crystal Sword, Altar, and White Spear Altar.
So yeah, this will be unfortunate for Mechalink. All bosses that were actually needed were here, so. Demus still at large, but we don't care where it is anymore. It's as far as this seed is concerned, not what our runner's gonna find. So, yeah, RagingLevine certainly ahead. His race to lose, and we'll probably just. I don't think Swagwalk's in the cards. Probably will save on the way. Always and hey. That's insurance.
I mean, just a little more oomph to help you out with that Zeromus fight. Here you go. Something, this blade that Zeromus detests.
More sharp objects to play with. That's how I look at it. Sharp objects. Mechalink finding the officer not interested right now, probably feeling quit. I would probably argue a bit more behind because of the crystal sword, fighting the crystal sword so late in this scene, considering
that and all the time recently spent on the Twin Heart rabbit hole. He's just like, let's move. And makes sense. Levine is at least one Z fight ahead, and at these power levels, that might be all he needs. Never take Z for granted, but I really like his chances.
Yeah, usually, the grind was done. At least kind of multiple grinds. Some eggs, some King Ryus. I mean, those are pretty good sources of XP and money. Money probably not so important, but hey, I think I've seen these flags. So I assume it's time for a sleep, time for a nap, time for something else.
Honestly, I think it's zany time. That's what that says to me.
That's a word.
Time to build a ziggurat, perhaps? No. That is because we're going to fight Zeromus. That's what the Z stands for. We do not move Zeromus to another location. We just let him stay here with his vanilla script and his vanilla power, but we do like to randomize things. So when the crystal is used on him, he transforms into one of many different sprites, one of which is loaded into the randomizer when the seed is rolled. There are closing in on 600, somewhere around 570 different options. And that's what those Z flags are for. They're asking a question.
Yes. In the name of the moon, who do we smite, or something like that? I don't know. It's whose butt are we going to kick tonight? Although, I do love Sailor Moon, so maybe can we summon Sailor Moon into this? That's what I want.
All in good time. I think Barrelness is one of the sprites.
It's always good to see Z in cosplay. There's just endless amount of fun. And no, not this.
So I have a story to tell you.
I've got time.
A friend of mine is in the middle of moving. Another friend of hers is helping her and goes to grab one of the boxes. There is an awake Furby in the box as my friend picks it up, and it responds to being lifted by going, "Whee!" And somehow the box in question was not dropped, but it was a spooky moment.
I think I can imagine. Not not all not all surprises are that surprising. But it's a toy. That's all. That's the only description I will ever give it. I would say questionably cute is my term for it. So RagingLevine is in this fight is going to do hybrid strats. I mean, both Rosa and Pelham are online, but I think some damage will be dealt with a nerf ahead of time. I forget what the form was, but when nerfing Z really very important in this fight. To quickly explain the nerfing, the first one is free. You just need to cast magic, but the subsequent ones you need to do it in a small window where Z shakes. Then next turn Z does nothing but sets the magic power of Big Bang, and then next turn does Big Bang. And within that tiny window of setting the spell power and using Big Bang, you want to do another spell on Z in whatever form it happens to be, and that will cause Z to do a counter nuke, and that will set the spell power to the power of the counter attack for nuke, and that's where the nerf comes from.
It can be a little risky. A full-fledged Big Bang is going to deal, depending on where we are in the script, no more than 2,400 or 2,700 to a party member, often less. And you add counter nuke to it. If you miss your timing, then you might have a character fall that otherwise would survive. So it's a very useful skill, but definitely something where you evaluate your party and decide if this is the right time.
In some teams, when you have power overwhelming, you might not, Z might not get a second Big Bang off. Right. Those are good times, but oftentimes you'll probably get a second Big Bang, and those are not pretty. Sometimes there's that wombo combo where you're towards the end of the fight, but it's a Big Bang and then followed up with a media. But RagingLevine has done it. Yeah, completed the seed.
Coming in with a time of 1:34:32 as Mechalink is receiving his crystal. RagingLevine making it through another round in the Blue Moon Waning bracket. Get your chats out in GG's, or your GG's out in chat rather. And in fact, we're joined by RagingLevine here in the booth. Well done.
Thank you.
So, a lot of power for you. I mean, it looked for a while like between Evelyn Castle that you're gonna have trouble equipping our poor paladin, and then Pinktail comes in the clutch.
Yeah, Evelyn Castle was very awkward, and I was I decided, well, I have this lottery ticket, I might as well hand that in and see what happens, and sometimes you hit.
Yeah, that was, I think, in your case, I think you had the crystal sword much longer than your opponent, Mechalink. That was, while not the greatest of difference, but certainly helped you gain quite a bit of time back. I think from a like objective standpoint, I think you would probably be behind, but that crystal sword kind of catapulted you back into the race.
Yeah, I knew I would need something fortunate like that to get me going there, because Mecha is definitely, I think, better at identifying the odds-on play than I am in general. So I decided to decided that cashing in lottery tickets was my best move.
Yeah, Mechalink definitely very, very good at this randomizer. Brings a lot of knowledge and solid execution to the table. I'd be right there with you going up against Mechalink, thinking, you know, I'd better find some sort of edge, some sort of divergence to help even the odds.
As it happens, and I think y'all probably heard this, but Mechalink has spent a lot of has given a lot of time to help me learn this randomizer better, which I really appreciate. So it was definitely a daunting matchup, but
Yeah, I think there was kind of like a wild divergence in your routing quite early on, and probably in the mid game. It, and I don't it probably wasn't to your detriment. It was just it was interesting seeing what both of you were doing. I'm not even sure if there were any counterplay, but I'm sure both of you were certainly had priorities based on what you saw.
yeah, I was thinking, for example, if the moon did not pan out, I was thinking, well, you know, I think Mecha will know that I'll make a giant play if the moon whiffs. So should I diverge from that, or should I stay with that? And luckily, I didn't have to figure that out.
So you ended up going to the moon a little sooner than Mechalink. You left the pan turn-in undone, and you didn't go in for the package. Were you feeling a little bit of time pressure, or was this just what you would normally do based on the number of objectives you'd done and how relatively little you had left to do on Earth?
I figured at that point, so normally if I see that I have two bosses, if I'm at 5 out of 7, right? A perfect 5 out of 7 for me means it's time to go to the moon. I knew that I had access to a lot of the bosses if I needed to go back to Earth, but in 6 bosses on the moon and then 2 more on the giant, if that fails, I have a lot of good possibilities if I just hop in the big whale and press that crystal. So that's what I would usually do. I don't know if that's right or not, but it's what I would do, and it's what I did.
Right or wrong, it's a valid call. It makes sense.
Did you have any other thoughts on this seed? I don't think there was anything too wild to the seed.
This was definitely a very, like, I've had some weird seeds. Like my seed last week was just like the trolliest troll seed, and this was much more of a your garden variety blue moon seed. With the exception of no holy swords and Eblin, everything felt pretty normal.
And this does mean you're going to move on to round 5 of the Blue Moon Waning bracket. Do you know who your opponent is? And if not, would you like to know? Is it
Jabrun?
It is.
That'll be a fun matchup. Then I know Jabrun is a very good runner, and it should be a good time. I don't have any particular thoughts other than I'm just trying to take things one match at a time. I already met my sort of meta goal of winning 2 matches in this tournament that I decided before the tournament started, so every match subsequently is just 1 match at a time.
Okay, 2 more than I managed. GG's to you. It's a tough crowd. Like, there are a lot of people like Mecha that are been around for a while and know their stuff, and as you alluded to, there are a lot of people that, you know, the old hands at this game are happy to teach and bring up. So, playing field's gotten really tough. Congratulations.
Thanks. And before I head off, I just want to make sure I say thank you to all of y'all who are making the restream possible tonight here on, I believe this is Free Enterprise 3. You two in the booth here, Commander Leonhardt and Deathlake, and then Zald on the buttons, on the 1s and 2s, and Harumph doing the restream. So thanks all y'all, and of course, again, thanks Mecha for being just a fantastic a mentor, I guess, and a fantastic opponent.
certainly GG's again, RagingLevine. That was certainly a great race being ran right there.
Thanks.
And that was the winner of tonight's match, RagingLevine. Make sure, give him a follow if you want to keep up with his practice and future plans for the rest of the tournament. In the meantime, Mechalink has expertly dispatched Furbimus with some classic power couple strats. GG to Mechalink. Yeah, close race between the two, no doubt. Show me one boss on that Twin Heart chain, and this can suddenly looks like a very different race.
Yeah, this I don't think it's the only thing, but probably the last thing to remember before doing everything. The Twin Heart not turning up anything. It happens. Rabbit holes will always be going down because trying to hope for that boss that you need, and just didn't work out.
Yep. And it is unfortunately the way it goes sometimes. And we are joined now by Mechalink. GG.
Sorry.
It
I had
happens.
my mic muted weirdly.
All
yeah.
good.
GG's. Yep, I knew I was dead when I saw darkness on the overworld, and then the knife was driven in when I saw Pigtail.
Yeah.
Crystal. I want to note the odds here. The odds of darkness being on the overworld are under 20%. Just flat out. It's not particularly likely, right?
No.
So that kind of fueled everything there. And then there's just nope, it's the darkness on the overworld seed. And also the crystal sword parody goes to the person who did Baronin. And that decided the majority of it for me. From my perspective. I feel good about that one wipe I took where I, where it was quick. I feel good about resetting out of Golbez and setting up for him. I was saying, maybe I should have abandoned more of the isolated Earth spots, but I'm not sure about that because you're amortizing the search for the Earth spots versus the amortized time for the Moon spots, and it's closer than it feels. But I might have been the wrong odds play, but sometimes that's not what pays out.
Yeah, it's a call that can go either way, and especially as you pointed out, feeling behind with just a very strange Holy Sword situation. The odds of Eblin Castle with trapped and untrapped chests coming up so empty for Cecil, and getting a pink tail on the overworld that happens to give him value, that's a heck of a lottery ticket to try and scratch off, without a doubt.
Yeah, so I'm fine with it, right? That's the way the seed goes sometimes. I could have played more kind of traditionally, right? But I didn't feel the need. Part of playing my game is playing the odds, and my Leviathan could have been faster, but it wasn't terribly slow. The White Spears helped us chew through that, right? So that's the one place where it would have been, it sure would have been nice to have Crystal Sword there, right? But the kill wasn't that bad, right? It wasn't great.
Yeah,
but it wasn't that bad. I did do some extra looting. Doing the treasury loot was because of Cecil not having a sword, and that wouldn't have happened if I'd had the Crystal Sword. So that was legitimate time lost, right? But because we bought double ninja swords, right? We still managed to fast anchor tear through the overworld. really fast, right? And then we didn't have to fight the Feymarch bosses, right? And so I ended up trying a few of the isolated spots that didn't pay out. Did Baron, but did the top of tower because we knew it was Odin, and then yeah, it was moon time. Like, none of that feels bad to me. It just didn't work out. So I'm fine with that. I know it's a non-traditional route, so yeah.
Yeah, but why you did it, makes all kinds of sense. You want to get underground, you want to find that darkness, you're more likely to find it there. The party you had, you've got more than enough power to clear through it, especially when you see that it's just a Leviathan waiting for you. And, Siege shakes out differently. All you can do is play the odds and go with the route that you like best.
Rydia was a backup to the odds, right? Like, we might have missed
Right.
Crystal, but we hit Bahamut, right? Like, it's not like I needed her, right? Like, that's the thing, is like, I took Rydia on the chance that Rydia could become better than Palom, right? Like, and she didn't, but it didn't really matter. Right? Like, we didn't need Rydia.
That wasn't that wasn't who you were leaning on to get through this. Definitely not.
Like we had Edge, Cecil, and Rydia, and you only really need one of them to hit, right? Like, to get through the seed, you would prefer 2 or 3, but like buying the ninja swords for Edge was more than enough to be like, yeah, like this seed is not going to win against me, right? There was more power to be had fairly easily. So yeah, GG's to Levine. Now it's his job to go all the way. I'm done.
Yeah, that does do it for you, but definitely hope to see you around for club season and the next tournament. You know your way around this randomizer backwards, forwards, and sideways, and looking forward to seeing you showing off that knowledge.
Yeah, I'll still be doing coverage to try and stay engaged, but yeah, I mean, because I'm doing more speedrunning stuff nowadays, it's the randomizer time's a little reduced, but yeah, I'll definitely be back around for tournament time.
Awesome.
So, at worst, right? Like, and last time I hung around with a couple of the clubs, not necessarily entering, but kind of participating. Tutoring RagingLevine has provided me an angle on being, was interacting with the Pink Puff Club and the Film Friends Club, right? Like, without running the seeds myself necessarily. Right. So, yep. All luck to him. And thank you all for doing coverage. And I'll see everybody later.
We will see you then. And that was our runner-up in tonight's race, Mechalink. Give him a follow, see what he's going to be up to in terms of not just Free Enterprise, but the other randomizers he's diving into as well. That is going to do it for our race tonight, but we've got more Free Enterprise coming up tonight. Isn't that right, Deathlight?
Yeah, there's another race going on. I think we're moving into the main Free Enterprise channel. Let me double check. Free main with John Burkhead versus Funnel Cakes in the Blue Moon Waxing semifinals. So yeah, so that should be still going on, and there are also matches tomorrow. Let me take a look at that.
Hub's Rule versus Curios at 7 p.m. on the Prime channel. Doublewood versus Dr. Cossack at 10 p.m. shortly thereafter, also on the Prime channel. And over on Free Enterprise 2, we will have eNinja 81 versus Beauty and Discovery. So tune in tomorrow for more exciting Free Enterprise.
Yep, and hope to see you all next seed.
Until then,